June 18th, 1815, the fields near the small Belgian village of Waterloo would become the site of one of history's most decisive battles, a clash that marked the end of Napoleon Bonaparte. His reign and reshaped Europe forever. The Battle of Waterloo was more than just a military engagement. It was the final chapter in the tumultuous Napoleonic Wars, and the end of an era dominated by one man. After escaping exile on the island of Elba in March 1815, Napoleon returned to France, rallying his supporters and reclaiming his throne. But his return was far from welcome across Europe. The major powers, Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia, had already defeated him once, and they were determined to stop him again. They formed the Seventh Coalition and mobilized their armies to crush Napoleon's forces. Napoleon, however, was not one to wait for his enemies to strike. He moved quickly, aiming to divide and conquer the coalition forces. Before they could unite, his target was Belgium, where the British army under the Duke of Wellington and the Prussian army led by Gebhard, Leberecht von Blücher were stationed. On the morning of June 18th, 1815, Napoleon's army of around 72,000 men faced Wellington, 68,000 troops positioned on a ridge near Waterloo. The battlefield was a mix of muddy fields and rolling hills, conditions made worse by heavy rains the night before. Napoleon delayed his attack until the ground dried, a decision that would cost him precious time. The battle began with a French assault on the Hougoumont farmhouse, a fortified position held by the British. The skirmish tied up thousands of French troops but failed to break the British line. Meanwhile, Napoleon launched a massive artillery barrage and ordered repeated cavalry charges aiming to shatter Wellington's center. But the British forces, using disciplined infantry squares, held their ground. As the fighting raged, the Prussians, who had been delayed by muddy roads, began arriving on Napoleon's right flank. Blücher's timely reinforcements added tens of thousands of fresh troops to the battlefield, overwhelming the French forces already stretched thin. In a desperate bid to turn the tide, Napoleon deployed his elite Imperial Guard, his most loyal and feared soldiers, but even they could not break the British and Prussian lines as the Guard retreated. A rare and shocking sight. The French army began to collapse. By evening, the battle was over. Napoleon's forces were in disarray and his hopes of reclaiming Europe were shattered. He fled the battlefield and later surrendered to the British, who exiled him to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. He would spend the rest of his life. The Battle of Waterloo marked the end of Napoleon's 100 days and brought an end to the Napoleonic Wars. The victors of Waterloo, led by Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia, redrew Europe's borders at the Congress of Vienna, ushering in a period of relative peace known as the Concert of Europe. But the legacy of Waterloo extends far beyond its immediate consequences. It symbolized the fall of one of history's greatest military leaders and the decline of France's dominance in Europe. It also set the stage for a new era of alliances, revolutions, and power, struggles that would shape the 19th century. The Battle of Waterloo was more than just a defeat for Napoleon. It was the end of an age defined by his ambition, genius, and relentless pursuit of power. It serves as a reminder of how even the mightiest figures can be brought low by the forces of history. And for the fields of Waterloo, forever scarred by the clash of empires, it was a day that changed the world.